Hello and welcome once again to the Ferret Business Podcast. I am your host, Yemmy the Ferret, aka Yemmy, and with me today is a man from the future. And by future, I mean he's in a different time zone than me, and he's pretty much ahead by almost, half a day.
That's right.
And he's a League of Legends master, he's a live streamer, he's a video maker, he's true North Koala. Welcome to the podcast.
Yemmy. That's a beautiful introduction. You've given me a lot of credit for my League of Legends skills, but I think they're okay. But thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, not a problem, man. All your social medias will be down in the description of the video below, of course. So if you want to check them out, by all means, go ahead, do it. Subscribe if you like the content, of course. So, my first question for you today is, living in Australia, I live in the United States, of course, which is probably way different than Australia. How is life in Australia?
Australia, that probably won't surprise anyone, is that it's hot a lot. We are in probably the middle of fall right now. We had a full week of, to speak in American language, like 90 degrees and above.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was warm. It was second thing you need to know about Australia is that there is a plethora of insects, animals, marine creatures that want to hurt you or kill you. They are in abundance over here. We're talking about snakes, crocodiles, sharks, spiders, you name it. So they're probably the two big things that you need to know about Australia. And the third thing is that it's a beautiful, rugged place to live with beautiful beaches and coastline.
Wow, yeah. And you have the Sydney Opera House, too. Have you ever been there?
So I am living, speaking of Sydney Opera House, I live in Sydney. I moved here in October. And so the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge are very, very close together. You can sit at a cafe or a bar house and look onto the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So it's quite a beautiful little piece of area down there. And it's where all the ferries come in and out, and you can go off to the little islands that surround the coastline. It's a beautiful little spot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of like New Year's celebrations and other things going on, and it definitely looks like one of those places that you gotta be the witnesses, because it's obviously a very beautiful place and a very beautiful building.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I haven't actually been to a concert at the Opera House, but from what I hear, for those in the know, the acoustics are quite brilliant, and this being your industry, you'd know all about acoustics. The Opera House has some of the best acoustics apparently in Australia, so for what that's worth, the Opera House has got you covered.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So speaking of animals that'll pretty much maim and kill you, have you ever had any close calls with these animals?
Growing up, we have close calls pretty often. The household spider, the redback spider, won't kill you, but it will if you let it. But it'll ruin your day. It'll definitely ruin your day in the next couple of days. They're just the household spider. They're everywhere. They're in abundance. But the second most poisonous snake in the world, it's a brown snake. You'll find those in any part of bushland in Australia. Don't have to go very far. But my latest experience with a brown snake was for my birthday last year, November. My brother camping wants to take me out into the Blue Mountains, which is a beautiful part of New South Wales, and they have this bluish hue to it. If you look at it from afar, that's why it's called the Blue Mountains.
Oh, okay.
And so it's the start of, well, not quite the start of summer, just getting warm. It's it's in the 30-degree mark, and we're going hiking. And he's like, just be aware, brown snakes are they're everywhere around here. We're gonna hike for a couple hours. We get to a spot, just be aware of it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So it's fine. I've dealt with snakes before. We're hiking, and we come across probably 3 or 4 brown snakes on our trail. And the only reason why I would say that we weren't bit was mainly because he's got better eyes than me. And that because it was cold, as in the temperature of the earth was still quite cold, that they were just really slow. So yeah, like you run into those critters quite often if you go looking for them. But yeah, you leave them alone, they'll generally leave you alone as well. But spiders are everywhere. I'll probably bump into a couple of them today. You become weird things that you become accustomed to growing up in Australia that seem normal for you that seem quite strange for others.
Yeah, really. Have you ever been around the Great Barrier Reef?
Unfortunately, I have not. It's always like you always take your own country for granted, don't you? A little bit, and you don't necessarily travel around your own country as much as you want to travel around others.
Right.
Thinking, oh, I've got plenty of time, I'll see that Great Barrier Reef. And the terrible thing about the Great Barrier Reef is that it's declining and being destroyed. And I think I've seen destruction in the last 5 to 10 years. So if I gotta go soon. Otherwise, it might not be around.
Yeah, that's awful. That's
for when I get there.
Yeah, that's terrible. Hearing that's being destroyed out there.
I guess it's over tourism. Maybe it's something to do with the bleaching of the water and perhaps the temperature of the water rising. All sorts of things culminating in, unfortunately, a beautiful part of our sea becoming destroyed. So hopefully someone smarter than I can figure something out for a little bit longer, that's for sure.
Hopefully. So what do you do for fun in Australia? It can't just be playing League of Legends.
It's true. What do you do for fun in Australia? Well, you take advantage of the beautiful weather. So, right now I'm looking outside and it's going to be a pleasant 25 degrees, not too hot, about 70 or something like that. You get down the beach, there's where I am, which I'm still exploring New South Wales. There's beautiful hikes through the bush. You want to take advantage of that weather by playing a lot of sports. Australians have a love affair with all things sporting related.
Oh, really?
We do very well on the world stage. Yeah.
What would be the most popular sport in Australia right now?
For females, they play a lot of soccer and a lot of netball. Netball is like a modified version of basketball where you're not bouncing or running with the ball. It's very fast-paced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for the men, you have cricket, which is probably... It's well entwined into the fabric of our culture. Cricket is, and Aussie rules football. I would be if I didn't mention Aussie rules football, people would freak out on me. So it's a little different. It's like fast. It's hard hitting.
Okay.
It's very skillful. It's a very unique game. That's for sure, and it's very much loved. That is for sure. So cricket, football, soccer, which is becoming more and more popular. The 4 sports I would look to. And surfing, of course.
Yeah.
Surfing is massive. We have great waves country. And so surfing is one of those. When you think of an Australian at the beach, you think of the lifeguard with a swim cap on his head or her head and surfers. We've had over the last 20, 30 years, it's hard to count. So yeah, surfing's a big part of it as well.
That's really cool. I know I live right next to the Great Lakes, and people try to surf on the Great Lakes, but it doesn't work out all the time for them.
Oh, it's probably not consistent as well, I guess.
No,
are they surfing on like the boats, or
they use like the boogie boards or whatever you call them.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
They try to ride them, and it's like, yeah, that's not gonna work for you.
No, it's not. They need to get down to Australia and visit Australia. And
they're trying to get that great big Kahuna wave going, but it's not gonna work. it's gone.
Although there's some places in the States with some great waves. I mean Hawaii, obviously, but off the coast, like California, it's got some really good waves, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I visited there a while ago, and yep, that's one place if you like surfing. You got the whole coastline there, and it's one big state, so you're good.
You buy a minivan and you just spend the whole month just going down the coastline.
Oh yeah.
I can handle that. That'd be nice.
So, please tell me you've heard of the DC supervillain Captain Boomerang.
Oh, I'm quickly going to Google Captain Boomerang. This is
I'll give you a little info while you're looking it up. He's a D-list villain who's kind of moved up the chains to more of a B because he's been thrown into a lot of different comic books and a lot of different movies right now. And he's an Australian, and he throws sharpened boomerangs at people.
I've just brought up his Wikipedia page. His alter ego, George Digger Harkness.
Oh, yeah. He's very Australian.
So his nickname, Digger, brings up, like, I'm not sure if you're aware of Digger is and why it's so important to Australians, but an Australian soldier is a digger.
Oh, okay.
As you know, So in Australia and New Zealand, they kind of forged their military exploits as like kind of a joined crew. They were known as diggers. And so we have this thing called Anzac Day, which is probably the biggest day in Australia. Sorry to take us off tangent.
Oh,
here.
no, it's fine.
And biggest public holiday in Australia and New Zealand, where we pay homage to those Australian New Zealand troops. And they're nicknamed diggers for their ability to dig in and, and they're still called diggers today. My brother was in the armed forces for a long time. Yeah, well, digger that's a real nickname for Aussie troops.
Well, I've learned something new today. Thank you.
Welcome.
So, as Captain Boomerang, he's kind of a silly villain. As an Australian yourself, what do you think of him as a character so far, through your light reading?
Well, I like the idea of him being, and as you say, a silly character. Aussies would call him a larrikin, which is, has the same connotations as being silly. Someone who is lighthearted, makes jokes.
That's him. That's definitely him.
Like someone who's able to get the job done and but have fun with it at the same time. Nothing's too serious. They need to worry about it. So, see, he looks quintessentially Australian in that regard. Power abilities. Captain Boomerang carries a number of boomerangs in his satchel. He's expert at throwing weapons. I love it.
Is this your new favorite supervillain?
I need to speak to my good friend in Canada. Loves comic books, and I can't believe he didn't tell me about Captain Boomerang. I'm gonna have to give him a call and say, where were you on this one? I could have been a superhero from years ago, but he's making my top 5, that's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, Captain Boomerang.
Nice, I like that. Now I've learned something today.
Well, good. Hey, we're all learning things today. So
perfect.
Switching gears here, I want to know where you came up with the name True North Koala, and where did it start, and where do you see it going in the future?
When I was kicking the tires at creating a channel or like getting into this realm, I'm very new to this realm, like gaming, like that sort of stuff that was inspired by that previous housemate I mentioned to you, my good friend Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I started playing a lot of couch co-ops, and so my love for video games sort of blossomed from there. And I thought, well, I like League of Legends. Maybe I'm looking for something that's like an artistic output for me. What name of Canada, and being in Canada for about a decade, and also imagery of Australia. So the True North aspect, Canada is often referred to as True North, and certainly Canadians like to view themselves as like the True North country, was the start. And I just happened to be going into an antique store, and I found this beautiful little, has like the Canadian maple leaf and True North on it, and I was like, that's too perfect. And koala came quickly afterwards. That's something that when you think of koala, you think of Australia quite quickly.
Oh yeah.
So True North Koala was born out of that little kicking of tires for probably a week or so. I love with the name. I thought that's perfect. It rolls off the tongue, and I can work with that. So yeah, that's where it started, and gone along with it since then. Like I've really like the name. It when I think of it, it reminds me of my time in Canada. I can feel like I'm paying allegiance to Australia as well.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. It makes you think too, because I was just thinking about Australia being, how is Australia north? But now I understand, because you were in Canada, you lived in Canada, and
that's right.
You kind of lived in both of them. So that's a really smart name. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Is the koala your favorite animal, or do you have a different animal that you like better?
As far as Australian animals go, there's this really fat wombat. The wombat like digs, burrows holes, and he's just like this cute. It's about like doesn't really have any worries. He's a big fat animal. Doesn't really have any adversaries. So like the wombat for me is probably the cutest for me. I really like him, but I guess koala. We always joke to people who are traveling to the country. We talk about drop bears. Mm-hmm. We talk about drop bears being like the mixture of like a koala and like a polar bear, and they just drop onto people from the tree. Of course, it's completely false, but we use the idea that Australia is dangerous, and people are like, well, that could exist. So I think koala. I think for me, I like koalas. Don't get me wrong, but I myself wouldn't be a koala if I could. They're quite lazy. They sleep for the better part of 18 hours a day. They'll eat for a couple hours, and then maybe they'll hang out for a bit. So I wouldn't be a koala, but if there's anything that stirs up Australian spirit and people thinking of Australia, the koala does do it for me. So
definitely. So why did you choose YouTube over Twitch for streaming? Because I know a lot of people who live stream, they like to use Twitch instead of YouTube for various reasons. I was just wondering what your reason was for using YouTube over Twitch.
Good question, because I initially started on Twitch, and I did one stream on Twitch, and didn't get many viewers. Stopped streaming, and then started focusing on just editing off-air content. And then when I went back to live streaming, I think of myself in my older age. I'm 31 now. Mm-hmm. What is the easiest thing for me to do? What do you look like? I thought, well, if I'm going to be on YouTube, I'm just going to do YouTube streaming because it's easier. And if someone's watching me, they can subscribe to me right away, and just makes it simple. I don't have to figure out Twitch over there and kind of audiences. And I guess there's a lot of value in doing that anyway. But for me, keeping it simple was the biggest draw card. And so YouTube, Twitch dwarfs it when it comes to gaming streaming. The idea of keeping things inherently simple was that's for sure. Unfortunately, I don't have any but yeah, I'm just a simple guy who likes to keep it simple. And so yeah, I stuck with the YouTube streaming, and it's more like I'm not getting the massive numbers that maybe a Twitch streamer gets, but I enjoy it, and my whole reason for doing these was to have a creative outlet.
Right.
So it ticks all the boxes for me.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah. Nice, and I like streaming on YouTube. It's pretty easy. You can set up things to kind of work with it, and you know, the subscriber base is here, and a lot of Twitch is just kind of focused on more of the other games that aren't really, you know, League of Legends is pretty old now, and I think people are kind of moving towards the newer games. But for now, let's talk League of Legends, because personally, I have very limited knowledge about it. Most of my knowledge comes from the guy named Video Game Donkey, or from watching your live streams. And so what I want to know is...
Very funny guy.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question about Video Game Donkey for my final question after this one, but what does League of Legends bring to the table that makes it better than, you know, World of Warcraft, Dota 2, Smite, even Awesome Knots? What draws you into the game the most for you?
I like... League of Legends is a fairly complex game. There's a lot of champions. There's a lot of variables about the interactions that occur. And I think for League, you know, just because it was the first that type of game that I played, and I became very comfortable with the way it was set up. And I think season 4, maybe it's even season 3, probably season 4. So I've seen the game grow. I don't like to speak about like what's better than this one than others, because I don't want to be potentially putting down kind of indirectly those other games, because I'm sure they're fantastic for their players. But for League of Legends, I've been a part of the growth in putting anything, but I've seen it grow and change and morph, and like sort of get those rough edges out of the game, and like I've been a part of that, so I guess I'm quite connected to the game in that sense. But the thing that I love about the game mostly is champions are very, very unique, at least the new ones for sure. And you can find a play style. I think most people can find a play style that they enjoy, that they can connect with. If you like to be a bruiser who wants to get in the thick of the action, deal out damage while taking it, you can play that champion. And I guess a lot of other games can do that as well. If you want to be someone who sits off to the side, be away from the fight, you can also do that too. So everyone can find their place in the game.
Well, all right.
Being free certainly helps as well.
Yeah, that definitely does. I know a lot of people go towards those games like that because they are specifically free, and they go, I don't have a lot of money and I just want to play a game, so here we go.
I'll say about League of Legends, it's a game you got to put a lot of wrench time into to enjoy it, be good at it. Otherwise, you can have some frustrating months learning as you get beaten down by better players. So, got to invest time in. And if you don't, you can get frustrated about not doing so well. As you can pick up these other games quite quickly. Fortnite,
right?
Is you can come home, you can tune out a little bit, you can decompress from your work day, and boom, you can play half a dozen games, and you feel good. With League of Legends, if you're not putting in that wrench time, maybe you're not enjoying it as much as someone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting to hear about. So, final question for today. I already mentioned Video Game Donkey once, but he's a famous YouTuber. He played a lot of League of Legends, and then he decided to quit because of, mostly the player base, and he was getting into high-ranked matches, and he got banned for no reason, he says. Is there any reason that you would leave League of Legends, or is that just not in the realm of possibility?
If all my friends who play League decided not to play, the game would be a lot less fun. I do play a lot of solo games, a lot of ranked games myself, get different type of value out of. But this game for me is about getting on Discord, talking with my friends on the other side of the world and playing video games. And that's a really strong connection for me. If I didn't have that, I would probably look to and go, well, what's the point? The reason why I'd leave, the game has changed a little bit in the sense that to solo carry games based on your skill level, and the game has become diffused into more of a, to a degree, that more of a team-based win. If the other team is just working more cooperatively together, they're gonna win. But also, if you've got a bad player in your team, they're going to sink you down. So in that regard, when you play a really great game yourself and you try and do as best you can and you fail anyway, that's tough. But as far as would I leave the game, I don't think player, certainly not on like Donkey's level and other high level streamers, where I'm going to become really, really frustrated with sphere they're at. Where they're so frustrated with the direction of the game because they're kind of pushing the direction that they want to go. Direction they can feel a little frustrated. For me, I'm more on the shaft, like the wooden part of that sphere, and I'm just along for the ride. So for me, if all my friends left, I'd probably think about leaving myself. But I just enjoy the challenge of the game. So I enjoy making content. I don't think I'll ever leave. I guess when I have a family and I have less time, games that I can just play for 20 minutes before I go take the kid to bed. So
right.
Maybe that'd be another reason as well. But I do enjoy the game, and I can't see myself leaving it for. And I guess at my age, not a lot of things bother me so much that I just want to up and quit it. Like I roll with the punches quite well. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would just make me leave. But hey, it's a game. It's moving in a certain direction. I'm along for the ride. Pro scene, I follow that a lot myself. North American and the Korean pro scene. So I just enjoy the game. And I mean, for the most part, I think that's going to leave.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah. As long as you enjoy the game, boom, you're golden. All right.
That's a lesson for everyone. Yeah. If you enjoy what you're playing, forget what everyone else says. Just do what you like to do. And if it's not hurting anyone, keep doing it.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, that is all the time I have today with True North Koala. I just want to thank him one more time for coming onto the podcast. Remember, his links, they'll all be down below. Check out his channel. If you like League of Legends, if you don't, hell, check it out anyways. You might find something new that you like. Koala, is there anything else you'd like to add before we say hooroo?
Well, I want to thank you for having me on your show. This sort of stuff is great. I love connecting with the community as much as I can, and this for me is perfect. So I really enjoyed having a chat with you.
No problem.
I might just leave you with a couple of Australian slang, bit of our own language.
Oh, please do.
So g'day. G'day is good morning, or it's hello. It's a very typical way of greeting someone. If you're having a barbie, you're having a barbecue. And we call flip-flops down here, we call them thongs.
Oh, really?
So very different, but you're probably sure what a thong is.
Yeah, that's true.
They're a thong. And the last one I'll leave you with, you're probably well aware of an American redneck.
Mm-hmm.
The best comparison over here, we call them bogans, is the American redneck of Australia. So I'll leave you with that.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well,
my pleasure.
As always, I am your host, Yemmy the Ferret, and this has been another episode of the Ferret Business Podcast.